Okay, go ahead. There you go.
Hello, I'm Chloe. I am project manager of the Cusuco project. Yeah, can we go on slide 2? So this is the mind map of the collaboration process within the team. So for the mind map it covers sound, assets, culture, location, mechanics, market analysis and environment. This is the Gantt chart, so this shows basically the week progression through the months, like the tasks that need to be set basically and completed on time.
Oh, this one's fine.
It was through all the stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
We started by creating mood boards for the project. My mood boards is based on environments, so I made sure to use the resources that were given to us from Steve from Huntress and use the natural landscapes of the rainforest itself to paint the picture of the environment, so make sure to get all the locales such as the waterfall, the forests, the lakes and rivers, and all the stones and pathways, including the base camp. Next slide, I think there's one more. Yeah. And continuing on from that is just more pathways, sign that would eventually be used in the game, and yeah, more base camp stuff. Yeah.
Hello again. So basically the project I started research in foliage, painting, landscape and the introduction to material creation. So obviously you can see like I've just experimented with different textures and painting on the landscape and different foliage painting techniques. So the second one, this is procedural foliage. So the images just show that like the progression and that how we've changed the settings to try and get like a realistic approach to the foliage. And like the bottom corner one, it's like a blended one basically with different plants and stuff for the realism. So this one, it's the water body systems and water caustic. So I have built a couple of examples, implemented water caustics in these two on the left hand side, and I'm trying to make like, I've made like a little scene on the bottom right hand corner just showing all like the skills put together basically to try and like get like a natural water river. So this one I have researched how to paint with the landscape materials. So this was like slightly different than just creating a material. This was, it actually built the material through the landscape. So yeah, that was quite a different approach. And I've combined the water in this one as well. I found this software called Tree basically where you can actually produce like your own foliage assets. So there are, just in case I couldn't find a certain plant, I could create it myself and then put that into the project. And lastly, the nanites. So obviously that helps the optimization of the game. So that's them three. This one is the landscape tool. So obviously for the project, I've had to build the landscape from scratch. I did a bit of research in the previous weeks, and this is like basically the start of it. So I'm just showing kind of progression. I've used the landscape material painting. So I've built 3 different materials, painted them on the ground, and then I've kind of just experimented putting a bit of foliage in just to see what it was like. And obviously the main river through the camp. So this one, further progression. So this was all at the top of the jungle, more detailed. I've started putting the mega scans in on the bottom right hand corner, so that's like just a huge rock wall, trying to make it look realistic as possible. So with this one, obviously the documentation, I've just obviously sorry. So basically, documentation was given about the foliage. So I did the research and I tried to match what was provided on the online store to what was given to us. So I've just put the images side by side. The ones on the right hand side are the ones on the Cusuco Bridge, and the one on the left was what was provided. Just to try and get it matching, basically. Right, so this is week 1. So these are the images, progression so far. I did the landscape, put the water in, started the foliage on the top, and that foliage is used with the pt1 software to keep the memory down because it's a bit low polygon. And started putting in large foliage first. So week 2, you can see there's a vast difference. So obviously, putting in larger assets, going down to the medium, using the types of trees that were recommended from research. Just trying to build up layers and layers. Week 3, more detailed images here, trying to just use like mega scans for the realism, using the foliage painting, added more water systems on the top, and lovely rocks in the river. Week 4, it's just building up basically. I kind of work section by section as well, looking at the photos provided, get the realism. These are like kind of the main walkway. Bottom right is at the top of the jungle. I know it's just a little section, so it's just the mega scan placement. Week 5, I added the nanites onto all foliage. I changed the texture of the water to get it as close as possible to the provided images, and just adding little details, basically. And these images are, because obviously I did all the foliage, and I wanted to put in like twigs, rocks. I went through the game, tested it loads just to see how it would look when I walked around, and then seeing if there were any gaps where I could put extra bushes or anything, basically. Oh, and I did the roots on the floor, that's a good one. So I put roots all through the walkways. And more images of using the pt1 software plants. I did about 6 of those. Lovely rocks in the top right, surrounded by grass. Little scene at the bottom. Trying to make it look overgrown and realistic as possible.
Hi, I'm Leonid and I've been the lead for 3D modelling for the Cusuco project. So I started off doing some smaller objects. So this is the microscope and radio that I've done. I've also done things like insect repellent, things like that. So just started off really small just to get into it. So yeah, I've gone for quite realistic with looking at lots of different references that might suit the game, and just trying to get in a lot of different objects into the game. I also went on to doing the corkboard, which is quite a simple model. So I did try to get in a normal map to make it quite bumpy and make it a little bit more interesting than just a flat surface. And I also went back to improving the radio as well, which I do later improve once again to make it a lot nicer. Okay. I went into looking at a lot of cloth objects, so I looked at larger objects like tents to fill in the camp space in the game. So I did a lot of experimenting with that, just to see if I can get it right. So I've done some shelters, I've done a tent cover for the main tents. I also looked at the background characters for the game, so I decided to start with making some model sheets for some of the characters. Yeah. This is my first attempt of doing humans. I can safely say that I didn't continue with this, but it is my first attempt. It's not great, but I do improve on it. And then we've got the tent, the main tent that will be in the game, that is in the game. So I've gone for as realistic as I possibly could and as close to the reference as I possibly could. So this required a lot of cloth material and a lot of modifier just to get it right, and then just getting the texture as close as I possibly could to the reference that they sent us. And then this is the tent and the cover put together, and I tried to put it into Unreal Engine to test if it was okay. I then went on to the generator, so these are some early stages for the modelling of the generator. So I've done it bit by bit, just adding in each different section one at a time, trying to make it from one single model, but also adding in bolts just to add a bit of extra detail. And then this is the final render of the generator. I'm quite pleased with it. It is dirty, but it's a bit hard to see. But yeah, that is the final render for the generator. And then we went on to putting models into the game. So just to make sure they fit into the game and making sure they're the correct sizes and things like that. And then the improvements. So two models that I went back to improve were the radio and the microscope, just because I wasn't happy with them from the first part of the project. So the radio was completely remodeled from the start, just because I had some problems with topology, so I just restarted it all from the start. And then the microscope was just retextured and added chamfers. I also did the background characters. So these took quite some time to do, but they are finished and they are looking too bad. I just tried to go for lots of different variations, just trying different clothing types and just adding in a lot of diversity into the game. Just, yeah, each one has its own different style, different hair colour, different clothes. And then I went on to doing some other models. So I've gone for models that I thought necessary but weren't already done. So I've done pallets, butterfly nets, hiking sticks, hanging clothes to add to the ones that have already been done, and camp beds. And I also did a bit of work on the game as well to make the camp itself. So just bringing everyone's assets and organising them, making it look as close to the reference as I could.
Oh, my God. My name is Cameron Powell. I am the environmental concept artist for the project. Up there, I did a little sketch of the Cusuco camp. I realized I wasn't too satisfied with the results, so I decided to draw them on Photoshop. These are two of the concepts I've done. And these are another two I've done. As I went on with drawing the concepts, I added more and more detail to the environments. And I eventually drew one from scratch without tracing over the photos, which included these two. I will admit that one on the right was not my best, considering it was done at a flat angle and it uses flat colors. But I thought the one on the left turned out a bit better. At one point I tried my hands at drawing assets for the Cusuco project. I even got around to modeling a tent at one point, but I never got around to finishing it. And this is my final concept of that I contributed to the project, taking place inside the camp. It was here that I put more emphasis on lighting, using the Gaussian blur for the fire. And these are some screenshots of work in progress models I did for the project. As you can see, they are the first two look alright, but the bird feeder was not my best. After some feedback with Steve, I decided to do them again from scratch and make them more high poly and detailed than they were before. And I eventually finished modeling them on texturing them on substance for good measure.
Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Jenner, and I kind of did a bit of everything in the project. I tried out everything. I started with the basics, the paperwork and the boring stuff and the mind map, and then moved on to a bit of concept art for the UI, so like the main menu and the bits the player would see at the beginning, and also for counting their frogs and animals and stuff. Then I did some of the coding. I coded the inventory and also the drag and drop feature, so you could move and organise your inventory if you wanted to. And then I moved on to some modelling. So here's some formats I made, and I made various textures to give variety, so it all didn't look the same. I then made a first aid kit and a couple of flasks. Let me just get through these quickly. And then camp beds and cool boxes. Mostly it was just the little assets really. And then sleeping bags, which I'm quite proud of. I learned how to use the cloth modifier, and that gave me all the details at the top for making it look nice and natural and realistic. And the welly boot that gave me horrendous trouble, but we got there in the end, and I think it was worth it. It worked out quite well in the end, and it looked quite good in the game. Then I made the toilet block. I wanted to challenge myself with a bigger asset with more details, so I chose to do this, and I'm glad I did, because I learned a lot about topology and getting things right to make sure that the steps were nice and stepped looking. I don't really know how to explain it, but it worked. Yeah.
That's good.
And then then I textured some lizards. I think at this point Rebecca had already done quite a lot because she is very fast, so I asked her which ones I could do, and she gave me these 5. And because I hadn't done it before, I was quite glad that I had a small amount to do. So learning how to do these, you can kind of see the bottom, whatever one's on the far end, like that,
right.
left or right, wherever you're looking at it. That was my first one, and I feel like definitely the worst one. And then either the green one or the one at the top, they were like the last ones, and I feel like I learned a lot with these 5. And they're really cute. And then I moved on to some world building, so I imported assets and set up the textures for the ones that weren't already in. And then here is a small selection of the different bits that I put in. So I also added the characters that were made, and I animated those on Mixamo, so that they're all doing like idle movements, so they're not doing anything major, but they look like they're moving at least. And then put them into little scenarios where there might be like a couple chatting at the bench or someone looking through their tent and stuff. There's even a guy chilling and relaxing on his little camp bed, because I thought that was cute. And then I also, as well as adding all the assets that I put in, I added foliage to blend things in, like around the toilet block I added grass growing at the edges where people wouldn't be walking to make it look natural, and then around like the trees, and added rocks and grass and stuff in. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Is Kelly online there?
Oh look.
Oh, I forgot to say I also added animals. I also added animals.
No, she's not.
Do you want to speak up for Kelly or someone?
Someone want to do Kelly's bit.
Okay, click through it.
So yeah, I think this is like the end.
Okay,
Yeah, it's literally just like
yeah, your bit.
So, okay, hello, I'm Adam and I was a 3D modeler for this project. So I'll quickly gloss over some of the stuff that I did. I'll just do a quick gloss over of what I did on the previous part. So all I did was just basically so I started initially with just the paperwork side, i.e. like the HP document and bits on the GDD, quick mood board, and then just a very basic model, very basic model that I did beforehand. So then I moved in the second part of this project, I moved on to doing another section of the GDD,